Her fucking ancestors were shipped into concentration camps. Conversation. The World Food Program says it's pausing its activities in the Gaza Strip after one of its teams came under fire last night near an Israeli checkpoint. Okay, Manny Fabian, please use something that's not passive voice for once when describing Israeli atrocities. Please, I beg of you. You are like physically incapable of typing those words out. It's so it comes across as though you are like genuinely allergic, okay? Like, how could this have happened? Passive voice at all times, dude. Bullets traveled through the air and struck this car. According to World Food Program, the team was returning from a mission to the Kerem Shalom crossing with 2 armored vehicles after escorting a convoy of humanitarian aid trucks to central Gaza. The organization says the team came under fire a few meters from an IDF checkpoint at the Wadi Gaza bridge. Despite being clearly marked and receiving multiple clearances by Israeli authorities to approach, the vehicle was directly struck by gunfire as it was moving towards an IDF checkpoint. The vehicle sustained 10 bullets, including 5 on the driver's side, 2 on the passenger side, and 3 on the other parts of the vehicle. The World Food Program says there were no injuries. The IDF has not yet commented on the incident. This just happened. They were Hamas. This time is real. Yeah. They will say that, by the way. They'll say it's Hamas that did it near the Israeli checkpoint. Huh. But that's not all. Here, let's watch Dana Fash.
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם, ואנחנו נוהגים...
This war is extremely complicated. What is not complicated is that there is a violent rage that is going on against Jews that we have not seen, maybe even ever, in America.
Yeah, no, totally. This is the most, there's so much violent rage against Jews. You know what's crazy? And I've been saying this, I've been warning about this for months now. America is at the precipice of being significantly more anti-Semitic than it ever has been in throughout its history, okay? And it is entirely a consequence of Israel's cynical weaponization of anti-Semitism as a deflectionary mechanism, as a shield, and Israel tying all of its actions to Judaism falsely, because of course it has nothing to do with fucking Judaism at all. It is especially at odds with Judaism, okay? And not only that, but you got hyper right-wing fucking websites blowing the fuck up. You got, obviously, Twitter has now turned into 4chan. So much fucking unimaginable anti-Semitism and so much opportunity to literally look at everything that's going on in media and being like, see, I told you Jews control the media. Okay, see, why are they so afraid? Why are politicians so afraid to say anything about Israel? This is literally the greatest opportunity for fascists. Like the greatest opportunity for fascists. And they're taking advantage of it, by the way. Fascists have always sheltered their anti-Semitism under the guise of like valid criticisms of the state of Israel. This is not like a new tactic. It's an old tactic. It's a 76-year-old tactic for the most part. Okay? This is devastating. It is, however, an attitude that is allowed to fester because it benefits Israel as well. It benefits Benjamin Netanyahu. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu has time and time again aligned with Zionists who happen to be incredibly anti-Semitic, like Viktor Orban, for example. Israel is ISIS for the Jewish people. Yeah, I mean, Israel's actions are identical to ISIS, including, but not limited to, destroying a mosque that was hundreds and hundreds of years older than the fucking nation state of Israel. Okay? Yeah, destroying a world cultural heritage site. Straight up ISIS shit.
America. I'm Dana Bash. We start with destruction, violence, and hate on college campuses across the country.
I'm closer to my Jew.
Fascism is anti-Semitic, though? Yeah, it is. That's why Zionism, which is fascist, is anti-Semitic. Zionism desperately tries to pair up Judaism with the actions of an apartheid state, okay? If you cannot comprehend how this is going to be a genuine problem down the line for the safety of Jews in the Western world and all around the world, as a matter of fact, including in Israel, I don't know what to fucking tell you, okay? It is ridiculous. It is a ridiculous notion. Like, there is no world where, like, Saudi Arabia is doing a genocide in Yemen, and then you go, hey, man, can you stop genociding Yemen? And people are like, wow, you're being quite Islamophobic, actually. You know what I mean? It's the inverse of that with ISIS. American right-wingers desperately, and even some liberals, desperately tried to tie ISIS to the entirety of Islam, to the Ummah, to the fucking whole Islamic world. When ironically, ain't nobody fucking likes that shit over there, and ain't nobody likes that shit over here either. Meanwhile, you have Israel and defenders of Israel on the West being like, no, Israel's ISIS-style actions are actually for Judaism, and if you fucking call it out, you are actually a Jew hater. It's crazy. It's crazy. Excuse me, the CIA actually likes it a lot. I think the CIA is one institution that is of two different minds on Israel. If you were to look at the entirety of the State Department, I would say that the CIA is probably one of the only American State Department apparatuses that actually despises Israel for the unimaginable amount of fucking blackmail and unimaginable amount of espionage that Israel engages on U.S. soil. There are different splinters within even the CIA, but it's in terms of like uncommitted support to Zionism, I would say the CIA is probably one institution where there are more people than the rest that absolutely despises Israel. Of course, this doesn't mean the entirety of the CIA. They still use Pegasus, for example. So it's not like the CIA completely hates it. Anyway, but as we're having this conversation, Israel has, of course, launched its large-scale attack on the West Bank. The number is now 10, by the way. At least 10 Palestinians have been killed in this large-scale attack.
Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank after the Israeli military launched raids and airstrikes overnight. That's according to the Palestinian Health Ministry.
The Israeli military says it launched a large counter-terror operation overnight in 2 refugee camps. Officials say the Israeli military was targeting, quote, Islamic Iranian terrorist infrastructure.
CNN's Paula Hancock is live for us this hour in Abu Dhabi. And Paula, this marks the largest Israeli operation in the West Bank for years. And we understand we are hearing there's been a response from Hamas this hour to what has occurred.
Yeah, Christina and Max, this is certainly a significant operation. We have been seeing for months that there have been these limited operations by the Israeli military into the occupied West Bank. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed over recent months, since October 7th of last year. But this is definitely something more significant that we are seeing. Now, we did hear from the governor of Jenin that he said just after midnight, so in the early hours of Wednesday, the Israeli military surrounded the refugee camp and Jenin itself. He says that he can still hear gunfire ongoing in the area, so it is believed this operation is still going. And he says a third of the city is without electricity at this point. Now, as you say, we know that 9 Palestinians have been killed. We hear from the Red Crescent Society, from the Ministry of Health, that those deaths happened from airstrikes, also from strikes on the ground. We hear drones are in the air as well. And when it comes to the Israeli response, so far we understand there are.
My brother-in-law just had his house ransacked in Tulkarem. He installed security cameras a few months ago because of all the thieves in the refugee camp. And they used that as a pretext to enter his house, put plastic cuffs on him, beat him, and ransack. This all happened in the last few hours. Yeah. What is it called? It's called like I forget what it's called, but there's a principle that the Israeli occupying force utilizes where they will like take over a house and they'll put all of the Palestinians living in that house into one room. And they turn it into basically an outpost for themselves, and they will use it for the duration. If you need fucking food, fuck off. Okay, if you need medicine, fuck off. What matters in that moment is like the Israeli occupying force utilizing your temporary outpost. Yeah, and they use that temporary outpost to snipe other Palestinians. Yeah, to snipe Palestinians. Yeah, from that temporary outpost, they will take over a civilian house deliberately. Okay, they will take over a civilian house deliberately and snipe Palestinians from that civilian house. Yes, straw window. I think no, there's like a specific term for it. It's like something with a straw. I think it's like a straw window. Yeah. Great stuff overall. I mean, that's just like one aspect of this like unimaginably cruel and inhumane way in which the Israeli military operates. America did similar things, of course, in Iraq as well. But it's great that our taxes fund that shit. It's pretty sick. Let's continue.
Hundreds, at least hundreds of personnel involved. We've been told that there are 4 battalions of the border police alone, including undercover border police, and that does.
Testimonies from the ground are that electricity is out, roads and infrastructure are being destroyed, and houses are being raided to install sniping positions. We haven't seen this shit in 20 years. A little ironic this comes up after the police arbitrarily shut down a Hadash branch in Haifa because they wanted to screen Jenin, a legally allowed, not censored film about the IDF's brutal operations in July, and the sequel to Mohammed Bakri's excellent 2002 film. So, post from 2020 about Straw Widow missions. Some of our testimonies describe Straw Widow missions, taking over a Palestinian house to use as a temporary lookout or sniper outpost. For the Palestinians who have the misfortune of having a view of the strategically important area from their window, that can mean frequent harassment. But in our service, in the occupied Palestinian territories, was time limited. Once our 3 years or however long we'd signed on for were up, we got to leave it all behind and go back to the safety of our homes, where the idea of a foreign military force barging in and taking over would be inconceivable. Straw widows, not straw windows. Straw widow missions is what it's called. I mean, this is like one aspect of this cruelty, this brutality that is always ongoing, for the record. Okay? It's just one aspect. What's their excuse for the West Bank? Let me tell you. Okay? They're calling it Operation Summer Camp, by the way, which is, again, insane. Like, just straight Hitlerian, no jokes at this point. Like, just straight up owning it, okay? Operation Summer Camp. Why is it being conducted? Because there's speculation that Iran is funding the West Bank Palestinians and that they're going to conduct suicide bomb attacks, okay? Now, let me explain something to you about how unlikely that is, okay? How unlikely that is. There are checkpoints in every fucking aspect of the West Bank. The West Bank is completely fucking occupied, okay? Completely occupied. Completely. So they already have that in place because they're worried about terror attacks on Jews, on Israeli settlers, specifically in the West Bank and also in Israel proper. Now they're claiming that civilians are going to go and, blow up trucks and shit like that inside of Israel proper. And that's why they have to do a preemptive genocide in the West Bank as well.
Doesn't include the military and the intelligence element. So this is a large operation. Now, one thing I wanted to mention was a tweet we had from the Israeli foreign minister, which was interesting. He gave a reason for this operation, saying that it was to thwart what he called Islamic Iranian terrorist infrastructure, saying that Iran is funding and arming terrorists in the West Bank and trying to create a situation similar to Gaza and Lebanon. And he's
The IDF is working. Yeah, there was one Tel Aviv bomb explosion that happened that Hamas claimed. Okay, Hamas has claimed that it was behind a bomb in Tel Aviv on Sunday night, which Israeli authorities say killed a suspected attacker and injured a civilian. Okay, this was a like a truck attack or something. Like it was a truck filled with explosives, I think. Or wait, maybe it was, I thought it was like, or originally they said it was like a truck filled with explosives, but maybe it's not. Bomb explosion in Tel Aviv. Statement from the armed group said it was a martyrdom operation carried out in cooperation with Palestinian Islamic Jihad. It also warned that suicide attacks would return to the forefront if Israel continued what it called massacres of Palestinians. Israel's police force and Shin Bet Domestic Security Service said earlier that they could confirm it was a terrorist attack involving a powerful explosive device. Suicide bombers with a backpack exploded next to the truck. Okay. The blast happened on Leahy Street on southern Tel Aviv about an hour after the U.S. Secretary of State landed in the city to push Gaza ceasefire and a hostage deal. Okay. Anyway, here's Israel Katz, Minister of Foreign Affairs. He says the IDF is working intensively from tonight in the Jenin and Tulkarem refugee camps to thwart Islamic Iranian terrorist infrastructures that have been established there. Iran is working to establish an eastern terrorist front against Israel in the West Bank, according to Gaza and Lebanon model, by financing and arming terrorists and smuggling advanced weapons from Jordan. We must deal with the threat just as we deal with the terrorist infrastructure in Gaza, including the temporary evacuation of Palestinian residents and whatever steps are required. This is a war for everything, and we must win it. Now, what's interesting about this, of course, yeah, Israel Katz is just a Nazi, is right. What's interesting, of course, about this is that these guys in Jenin and Tulkarem, the refugee camps, that are armed, have the legal right, if not the responsibility, to defend with physical confrontation and violence, if necessary, their own territory from Israeli incursions. It is actually Israel that is actively violating international human rights. And this isn't like a complex situation. It's just straight up unconscionable and illegal. Okay? And the International Court of Justice declared it to be illegal again as recently as a month ago. So, like, Israel is in a permanent invasion and occupation status as an illegal occupier, a belligerent. So the fact that they say, well, these guys are terrorists or whatever, is fucking ridiculous. Like, you are literally doing terror. They are in the right. They are morally in the right. They are right by international human rights standards. Okay? Like, you have to understand. This is not even like an October 7 justification style situation, okay? Israel is doing an October 7 every day, technically, by occupying this area, okay? By occupying this area that does not belong to them. I need you to understand this. Like, the laws don't matter to Israel, obviously, but like you have to understand, like, it is completely illegal what Israel is doing. It is completely legal what the Jenin brigades are doing in terms of like defending their own fucking territory. So just remember that. Like, they're terrorists. It's like fucking Russia invading Ukraine and then being like, wow, I can't believe these terrorists are fucking fighting back against us. Okay? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Of course people are going to you're violating the sovereignty of an entire group of people. Of course they're going to fucking do that. It blows my fucking mind, dude. Russia does say that, lol. Yeah, of course Russia says that. Except no one in the fucking Western world gives a shit. Except for like 8 people still pushing Z. So understand that what Israel is doing is terrorism.
He said, quote, "We must address this threat just like we're handling terror infrastructure in Gaza, including temporary evacuation of Palestinian residents and any step necessary. This is a war like any other, and we must win it." Now, that is significant, the fact that he's suggesting there could be evacuations in the occupied West Bank, just as there are and have been in Gaza.
Technically, since we pay our tax dollars to this, aren't we complicit too? I mean, yes. But as long as you are doing everything you physically can to try and put an end to this, as an American taxpayer, as an American citizen, what more can you fucking do? You know what I mean? That is why when people say this issue is irrelevant, why the fuck are you talking about this? Why are you talking about it? It's like, well, I'm paying for it. Of course I'm going to fucking talk about this. I'm paying for it. Okay? Which leads me to one other story that I've like been reluctant to cover personally because there is obviously a deep and personal connection here, and it's been tough. It's been tough bringing this up, but Israel killed a TikTok, Instagram influencer in Gaza whose name is Mohammed Halimi. Okay? His name is Meadow Halimi. He was 19 years old and Israel killed him. His last post was 3 days ago talking about, and he is just like with Omar and Mohammed on the Omar Hirsch show, he was documenting his daily life experiencing a genocide. He was planting stuff. He was also a member of this community as well, as I found out later. Okay? Or at least like someone who watched from time to time. He was actually the one who apparently told Omar and Muhammad that like I had talked about them on the stream, and he was like really excited. Let's here's Owen Jones's coverage on the matter.
I just want to show you one last thing. It's a video posted by Meadow Halimi just 2 days ago, a 19-year-old Palestinian. Just have a watch.
Let me show you what a day of my tent life looks like. I started the day with a cup of coffee, and then I went to lay down because it was so hot. After a bit, I took my phone and laptop to charge him. This is what they look like. And when I got there, I ordered a lemonade. So refreshing. As I waited for them to charge, I started working on designs for my new secret project. I then got the phone and went to get a haircut. I need a one. Tell me how it looks. Right now it's 6 p.m, so I'm almost done with everything in my day. I went to the tent cafe to get connected to the internet, and I edited the video. Then I went live on TikTok. And that's it for today. Don't forget to drop a follow and like the video.
Friends of Meadow Halimi now report that he has succumbed to the wounds that he had suffered after an airstrike, an Israeli airstrike in Gaza, left him in a coma. Go to his Instagram profile, Meadow_Halimi. Go look at his videos. This was a young man who lived, who despite unbearable circumstances so hellish that virtually none of us can really imagine what they're like. Full of joy, full of happiness, and despite it all, full of love for life. Just 5 days ago, he posted his grief at his 11-year-old cousin Ahmad being killed by the Israeli state. And in that piece mourning his slaughter, he also mourned those other innocent Palestinians who have been butchered alongside him. And he finished that post with the following: each one of them had a life, dreams, talents, hopes, and people whom they loved. No one deserves this. No one does deserve this. 11-year-old Ahmad did not deserve this. 19-year-old Meadow did not deserve this. The tens of thousands of Palestinians slaughtered by the Israeli state with the direct involvement of the US state did not deserve this. This genocide has to end. We have to stop it. We have to fight with everything we have to end this genocide. And that means being honest about the role and the position of a US administration which is soaked in blood.
Viva Palestine talks about his background a little bit as well. Specifically what he aspired to do. He had a greenhouse.
Day 30 something of planting every day until this genocide is over. A lot of you ask me why I plant. Planting for me is a form of resistance. I bring life to earth. They're taking away life, but I'm bringing it to earth. And I hope that my plants have strong roots to the ground, just like we Palestinians do. Today I'm not planting. I have to fix the farm, expand it a little bit, and I'm gonna show you guys how my farm looks like, since a lot of you have been asking. Let's check out my melons. They have flowers now. Look at that. This is my watermelon. Luchia over there. Lima beans. Looking pretty good. And menta right now. She's not mentita anymore.
The reason why I'm talking about him like being someone who was like a part of this community is because I want you to understand, like, he's 19 years old. Okay? He was 19 years old. He's just like you. He had dreams. He had aspirations. He was a human being. He had loved ones around him. He had goals. And in spite of the horrifying realities of existing under a genocide, he tried to still maintain a positive outlook every single fucking day. And now, as I showed you his last video before, he'll never be able to complete his secret project. It's over. It's done. Israel snuffed at that light. I need you to understand. Okay? That's a college that in other circumstances, in normal circumstances, in the United States of America, that's just a college sophomore, a college freshman. You know? That's why this shit matters when people protest in college campuses. These are people just like you. Okay? He happened to have a platform to communicate the daily existences to the Western world that was otherwise turning a blind eye. And I think he played a very important role in that regard. But it is crazy to me that, like, a genocidal apartheid regime that we are completely fucking locked in on defending can just snuff out a light like this.
Splendid. They threw something.
And he spent a whole bunch of time over and over again. Meadow would sit and explain what daily life looked like for people who clearly didn't give a shit. I'm so fucking angry. This is what he had to spend time doing just so people would hear and believe him. And Israel murdered him regardless. I thought there was no electricity. How are you charging phones?
Someone in the past created something called solar panels. They basically create electricity from, solar energy. And that's basically what we're using. A lot of people had them before this whole thing started. And when they ran away, they took them with them. And now they charge for people. Of course, we have to pay for it. So I pay $1 daily to charge both my phone and laptop. But that's how we charge.
Connection is hard, yet you make videos every day? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Connection is hard. Yeah, you make videos every day. I definitely don't make videos every day. I try to make videos every day, but the problem is I don't have connection every day. And even if I would have connection every day, it would be very, very bad and expensive as well. So the initial plan was basically to create videos daily and post daily, but the problem again is connection and electricity. This is a good question, actually. In the beginning, people just started spending all the money that they have saved previously, but you can imagine 10 months is a bit too much. So yes, most people have run out of money, and right now they're basically living off of helps from others, family members abroad, friends abroad, or whoever outside of Gaza that can help them. And today I'm getting a transfer through Binance from outside of Gaza, and let me show you how hard it is to get it and how much money we actually lose throughout the way.
This also was a procedure that Israel stopped, for the record.
At first, of course, I went to the city of Deir al-Balah. And as you can see, transportation was not 5 stars. I didn't like it. And when I got there, I went to a currency exchange office that also takes money transfers. And what I basically did is...
Binance stopped transfers to Palestine after this. Israel stopped them from... Binance seized their funds and stopped transfers to Gaza. Yeah. For the record, just so you guys understand. Yeah, here it is. In case any of you thought still that crypto is decentralized and safe from governments, a genocidal government just froze the assets of every Palestinian through Binance. In case you were wondering how easily they budge to genocidal governments, now you know. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance has seized all Palestinian assets at the request of Israel. Please check out Connecting Humanity eSIMs for Gaza, a great organization where you can buy eSIMs for people in Gaza to get phone and internet access. His post got community noted. I don't know if this is false or not. I don't think it is. I think there's probably ways around it, but this is an official document. Suleiman defends Andrew Tate. Bro, you think I give a shit about the person reporting this? Like, the fuck? I think you guys need to understand something. I don't care about all of the other shit that they believe, okay? What I care about is whether it's correct or not. Like, what the information that they're delivering. Like, you're focusing on the dumbest shit. Ridiculous. It has a proposed community notes, which only people in the community notes program can see, which is wrong. The note was claiming it was only illicit funds. Yeah.
I transferred them the money to their Binance account, and they gave me back cash. But here's a problem. 27% commission fee. Yeah, almost a quarter of the money. So if I were to get $200, I would only get about $140. I took the money, I bought some stuff, and I went back home. Sorry, it didn't.
They killed him. They just killed him. And that's it. They killed him just like 40,000 plus other people. I don't know what else to say about it. And people say like, oh, Israel deliberately targeted him. I don't think so. I think it's a kill zone and they don't care. Okay. Why did they kill him? Airstrikes. Indiscriminate bombing campaigns. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. But yeah, Omar told me, and I want to repeat it for all of you as well, to keep Mido in your thoughts and pray for him. He said when you first followed us, he was the first one to rush to tell us he used to appreciate your talks. Which apparently Taylor said as well. Taylor Lorenz was talking to him for a story last year and he was a fan. He was one of you guys. These are just regular 19-year-olds just like you. Regular 18-year-olds just like you. I need you to understand that. You constantly talk about how much the narrative has shifted in your lifetime on the Palestinians, but I hope you realize just how much Israel themselves have irreparably destroyed their reputation and influence across the world. Old libs and conservatives might love Israel, but everyone else can see clear as day. Anyway. I don't know. These are moments where the irreparable harm Israel has caused itself by being a bloodthirsty, monstrous, fascist piece of shit nation continuing to do a genocide doesn't really matter all that much. Is hard. It's hard to think about it from the broader snapshot. This like lasers in on the inhumanity, but I wanted to show it to you because, you know, I need you to understand the human toll. Y'all Nazi leftists, he said. Yeah, we are the Nazis. You're right. We're the Nazis for saying that what Israel is doing is objectively Nazi shit. According to his GoFundMe, as many have heard, a few days ago, Mido Hamley has passed away. He was sitting at a cafe for a chance to get internet when he was hit by an Israeli airstrike. Every single person that Israel has killed so far has a story like his. I need you to understand that. That's why these guys play a very important role in humanizing the Palestinian plight. What Palestinians go through on a daily fucking basis in Gaza. Okay? Anyway. Now let's get back to what America is doing in this process. On the one hand, Long Island's Nassau County banned face masks because of backlash to anti-genocide protests and general reactionary COVID garbage, and they just made their first arrest. An 18-year-old Latino kid. There it is. Ridiculous. NYU also came out with a statement saying that they're adding Zionism and Zionist into their hate speech. Zionist is now a protected class at NYU. College administrators spent summer break dreaming up new ways to squash Gaza protesters. New York University students who speak out against Zionism will now risk violating the school's non-discrimination policies. That's what America's doing. And yeah, I saw Mehdi Hasan's argument yesterday about the Bedouin Israeli citizen that Hamas had held captive for 10 months that was recently rescued yesterday. And I saw the exact opposite thing that he saw. To those who still make excuses for Hamas actions on October 7th, a reminder that Hamas has no problem taking even a Muslim Bedouin grandfather hostage and then refusing to release him. Hostage taking is a war crime. I don't really understand what argument he's trying to make here, but what I saw from that was that this is not sure I follow this line of argument. The point of the Palestinians have been making is that this is a political battle with religious dimensions, but not a religious battle wholly and entirely. Why would favoring an Arab Muslim make them somehow more consistent? Al-Qadi is an Israeli citizen. Therefore, his captivity is a bargaining chip to release Palestinian hostages in Israeli prisons who do not hold such citizenship. This isn't rocket science. The strategy is fairly obvious. Liberal identity politics do not factor into this. Exactly. Anyway. Please stop linking me Facebook links, man. What are we doing? Speaking of college campuses, saw this online in New York City yesterday. Stop linking me Facebook links. I'm not going to click on it, okay? Yeah. Lawns that can't be used, benches that can't be sit on, foreign nations that aren't allowed to be criticized. Universities would rather sterilize their own campuses in the non-functional backdrops than have any kind of discussion about Israel. Welcome to NYU, class of 2029. I hope you don't want to sit outside because here at NYU, these fenced-off benches are being guarded by 5 security guards, 3 union members, 2 subcontractors to protect them from your free speech. What? That's a stupid argument. It's wonderful. It's great. They are doing everything they can to stop any kind of public display, against Israel. They're like, nope, you cannot criticize this foreign nation that is currently doing a genocide. In terms of like combating against anti-genocide protests, it has straight up gotten worse than the last multiple cycles of student protests, whether it be against the Vietnam War, whether it be against the South African apartheid. It almost feels like those in positions of power learned from those lessons in terms of not losing that battle, and now are doing this shit. I do think back to school fascism will backfire. Making it against the rules to sit on the lawn is kind of the thing that the dean from Animal House would do. Penn installed a monument to honor me and my confidants. We smiled. When Cesaire's Imperial Boomerang returns, they'll attempt to pay us to do speeches, and we'll say, this too ain't reparations. No trespassing. All UPenn rules and policies apply. Events, demonstrations, rallies, protests, and large gatherings require prior university approval. Prohibited behavior includes overnight occupation of structures, amplified sound without prior university approval, possessions of weapons or hazardous materials. It's crazy. Where are all the free speech advocates now? Gonzaga University changes protest policy after students held Gaza protests. Yeah. A part of the reason, and I think a chatter also mentioned it, is that college campuses have become increasingly more financialized since the last time those protests occurred. And as financial institutions, they have a vested interest in the continuation of Israel's apartheid regime. So when students actually demand divestment, that actually eats away at their profit motive. That actually eats away at the endowments that they have that are massive financial vehicles for them. That is also another reason. McDonald's obviously would not sit around and allow people to protest eating fucking beef, right? To them, this is an existential crisis, having their own students protest against these college campuses. Ironic because on the other side, they try to educate this new class of incoming freshmen on certain key principles like genocide and being against such thing. I do not understand how we do not see, as Americans, where we are headed towards, what we are headed towards in terms of fascism. That is what is going on. It's not just about Muslims not being considered humans, okay? Because it might be Palestinian Americans today that are being effectively monitored. It might be those who are aligned with Palestinians that are monitored and their freedom of speech is removed. But there is no reason why. There is no guarantee that this will not extend to others. Okay? It already is being extended to others. Plenty of Jewish anti-Zionist protesters are also getting caught up in this. And as material conditions worsen for people, as you see more young men find themselves in the throes of right-wing radicalization, it feels quite a bit like 1930s Germany up in these parts. Palestinian students at Columbia University are hosting a Palestine 101 teaching at a local park off campus. NYPD cars are circling the park. Groups of police officers are surveilling students wearing keffiyehs just for teaching about Palestinian culture. more police budgets, more police surveillance, more unique ways of stopping people from hurting the feelings of a foreign nation state and its plans to wipe out an entire population of people. Incredible. Incredible stuff overall. Anyway, let's look at the operations in the West Bank. We're going to get back to that in a second. Remember, though, nearly 8 in 10 Democrats say the U.S. should not send weapons to Israel. Okay? 77% say don't send weapons to Israel as of June. Okay? It is incredible that these calls that literally have a positive electoral benefit in this upcoming election, these calls are just simply a mechanism to get Israel to abide by the ceasefire proposal that we put forward months ago. It is, this divergence is insane to me. Like, it is such a phenomenal display of anti-democratic principles baked into our system when you have so many fucking people that are like, dude, what are you doing? You said you wanted to do this, the ceasefire. Here's a way to do the ceasefire. You won't do it. Democracy is not supposed to simply be a shield. Okay? It's not supposed to be a shield. It's supposed to be not in theory, something that you claim to be a part of. Just like freedom of speech is not supposed to be like this. It's not just something you say to be like, look how awesome we are, and then violate it on a daily basis. Democracy is not supposed to be something that you say you are and then completely fucking override it. It is ridiculous. What have we become? I mean, we were this way, but I think it's becoming glaringly obvious what we are now. Here.
The idea of you coming from America to here, settling in potentially in Gaza, kicking Palestinians out, a lot of people would see that as settler colonialism.
It's not really colonialism, it's a return. My grandparents were kicked out of Israel by Arabs who were trying to establish a Palestinian state, and they had to leave for their survival, and I'm just coming back and fulfilling their dream. That would be the first thing. The second thing is, I think that, and I know this is a minority view, I think colonialism gets a bad rap. Like, genocide is bad, but colonizing places that are genocidal and they have bad ideology, it's good to come in and correct their views.
What do you think should happen to the people who are already in Gaza?
Colonialism gets a bad rap, says the person engaging in colonialism. Bro, I'm telling you, dude, there's nothing. The greatest antidote to like anyone that carries on any kind of positive sentiment towards Israel is to just show them someone from there in an unrestricted format. Okay? The anti-Zionist Jewish Israelis in this chat will confirm this as well. Okay? Just literally put a camera on. Just show them. It's the classic no politics here moment. That's it. That's it. Just literally listen. They'll tell you straight up. Like the things that so many people say, especially the settlers, like in 2024, are things that you've only previously heard in history books. Okay? Like these justifications for genocide, these justifications for apartheid, these justifications for mass slaughter. Okay? The only time you ever heard stuff like this is in like prior centuries. You see it in your history books. Like people that legitimately have this kind of attitude. This person is no different than a fucking Klansman, like straight up. Okay? Straight up. What are we doing here? Like this is Nazism through and through, okay? This is fascism through and through. That's it. Colonialism gets a bad rap. We're just civilizing these brutes is exactly the basis behind Manifest Destiny and the way that like Americans did and conducted an indigenous genocide. The difference is that happened already, and we know what that looked like. We know how fucking horrifying that is, especially in terms of her own personal history, her own personal background as a Jewish person. The same arguments that she is applying to Palestinians and Arabs, the dehumanization, the same arguments that she's applying in terms of finding living space for herself on someone else's land is exactly what the Nazis justified the Holocaust with, is exactly the foundational basis as to why her fucking ancestors were shipped into concentration camps. It is ridiculous, and it is mind-boggling that we are not even like one generation removed. There are still Holocaust survivors that are around. It blows my fucking mind that it did not take much. It didn't even take a century to just do that exact same thing.
It's good to come in and correct their views.
What do you think should happen to the people who are already in Gaza?
So I think that there's a couple of possibilities. The one that I think is the most realistic is we got to ask other countries for help. I know that Spain was willing to take a couple of million. I know Russia said they would take a couple of thousand.
To a lot of people, that would sound like you're advocating for ethnic cleansing.
And don't think so, because Palestinian isn't an ethnicity, it's an ideology, and it's an ideology that says that they want Jews dead, and so we want them as far away from Jews as possible.
Like, this person is a fucking paranoid schizophrenic in terms of like her worldview. Except people that have that exact same opinion are making policy choices in Israel. Some of those choices are the maintenance and current existing occupation of territories that do not belong to them. Other policies such as committing a fucking genocide in Gaza. She's like, no, Palestinian is not an ethnicity. You don't understand. It's an ideology, and an ideology that is built around the mass slaughter of Jews. That's what she said. Like, there is no nation there. You can't do an ethnic cleansing to a group of people who I've decided are collectively genocidal. That's why we need to do a genocide to them before they do a genocide to us.
The would-be settlers take us to the Erez crossing. It used to be the gateway into Gaza. The area has been closed off by Israeli soldiers, but the group is waved through. They've planted 2 small lemon trees here as symbols of their claims over this land. Just saplings, but the settlers have seen how over the years their efforts bear fruit.
Zionism is an ideology. Palestinian is an ethnic group. Yes, absolutely. Everything that Every single fucking talking point that you hear from Zionists is pure projection. Okay? Pure fucking projection. From human shields all the way down to they want to genocide us, so we have to genocide them first. It's pure projection. And we have heard this time and time again throughout horrifying parts of American history, horrifying parts of global history, world history. Okay? Dark chapters in our collective history where people have had this exact same attitude. We can't free the slaves because they will enslave us. Okay? We can't give them rights. We can't actually have we can't have full equality because if they do, they'll take away our liberties and our rights. They'll treat us like we've treated them. We can't give Ireland back to the Irish. We must continue occupying it. We can't abolish the apartheid in South Africa because they will do an apartheid to us. It's always the same shit. Is Reddit down? Dude, I don't fucking know. What a silly question. Why are you asking me? A guy who rarely ever goes on Reddit. Ask me if Twitter is down, I could tell you, but describing pogroms against Palestinian villages and literal ethnic cleansing as gaining land and winning power is insane. Real estate and religion category 2? Come on. From The Economist, Israel settlers are winning unprecedented power from the war in Gaza. They're gaining land and sway over the army, police, and politics. Israeli occupation forces, by the way, have launched a large-scale invasion of the West Bank with thousands of soldiers. The operation is scheduled to last for weeks and is the largest since Operation Defensive Shield. Dude, if Reddit went down permanently, my life would be improved. Okay? Like, straight up. My life would have a noticeable improvement. But I thought you don't go on Reddit? Yeah, I don't. But all my fucking haters do. Reddit is like responsible. Reddit is responsible for some of the worst aspects of like unimaginable pro-genocide sentiment. Okay? It's not because I'm distracted and I go on it a lot. I never go on it at all.
In the West Bank, a major operation by Israeli troops accompanied by drones attacking from the air, leaving at least 10 Palestinians dead, and adding to the more than 600 killed since October the 7th. Israel's foreign minister says it's essential to shut down a new front for terrorism here, alongside those in Gaza and Lebanon. Masoud Najjar says he was injured in an explosion which killed 2 of his sons.
My wife asked me what happened. I told her and asked her to check up on our children on the roof. She found 3 of them there. 2 of them, may they rest in peace. The other was injured.
Hundreds of troops are believed to be involved. The Israeli army says it's responding to attacks by a mixture of armed groups, including Hamas, though they've denied a claim by Israel's foreign minister that residents may be evacuated from their homes. Nevertheless, Israeli bulldozers have been destroying streets in the city of Tulkarm. They say it's to remove roadside bombs, but they're also sending a warning that this land, occupied by Israel since 1967, could be turned into another Gaza if Israeli security requires it. This Palestinian only just escaped a sniper's bullet. Elsewhere in the city of Jenin,
They
many
survived,
are...
by the way. That person survived, but I was worried here. I mean, you can see it.
escaped a sniper's bullet. Elsewhere in the city of Jenin, many are obeying an Israeli curfew and staying indoors. Hamas says...
How do you combat the pogrom narrative the Zionists engage with, like that woman earlier? Normie family members of mine said that they have Jewish people around them that constantly talk about rising anti-Semitism, so they won't even let me talk about the problems with Zionism or even what a pogrom is. How do you approach that with people around you? I mean, it's true. Anti-Semitism is rising. Okay? Anti-Semitism is unacceptable. It is a form of bigotry that oftentimes leads people to agree with fascist narratives. So you don't have to like counter that. It's correct. Anti-Semitism is absolutely fucking rising all around. One of the major factors that plays into anti-Semitism rising all around is that Israel is not the fucking moral democratic nation that the American media has represented it as. Okay? Anti-Semitism is rising because of Israel's actions being paired up with Judaism. For a lot of average people who have associations or like in an offhanded remark will like be significantly more susceptible to anti-Semitic sentiment, like Jews control the media or whatever, things that we consider in here to be obviously non-starters, a lot of Americans believe that shit already, or they're primed to believe that shit. So when fucking Israel does this stuff and says we're doing this for Judaism, and then Jake Tapper turns around and says Israel has to defend itself, and it's actually for Judaism, and you're fucking anti-Semitic for criticizing it, then yeah, people who are already primed to be anti-Semitic who haven't fucking read into it are going to be like, oh, dude, I see it now. Like, it's 100% Jews control the media. Like, of course. Of course people are going to fucking think that way. That's why I, like, spend every goddamn day combating anti-Semitism and also engaging in anti-Zionism at the same time. There's no reason that you have to, you are a Nazi. Israel is not Judaism. Yep, you are a Nazi. Just saying the truth. Chat not gonna like that one. Yeah, you already made up your mind. You think this chat is anti-Semitic, and that you also called someone a Nazi for saying Israel is not Judaism. It's not. You have been told a fucking lie. Okay? So are you ignorant of the IDF censoring CNN? This was covered in January. What are you talking about? There's no such thing as a war crime against... What? Shut the fuck up, you golden retriever for Zionist. Tell us what you should consider the Israeli psyche. I'm a golden retriever? Bro, I'm trying to start a fight? Okay, well, fuck off then. Golden retriever for Zionist? What the fuck is going on? Yeah, it's legitimately on the rise. One of the dumb apolitical guys in my work dropped the honestly, I get it now. I can see why everyone hates the Jews in reference to Israel influence on U.S. politics. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is 100% a sentiment that is like increasingly becoming more commonplace. Okay? That's not a fucking joke. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, but the primary culprit is Nazism, not anti-Zionism in my experience. No, of course not. Of course the primary culprit is fascists and Nazis and anti-Semites themselves who are taking advantage of the underlying anti-Semitic tendencies that people might have and then pairing that up with like valid criticisms of Israel. All they need to do is just point to what the fuck's going on. and be like, see, I told you Jews control the media. See, I told you Jews control key aspects of American society. When it has nothing to do with Judaism whatsoever. But on the other side, you have Israel saying, no, this has everything to do with Judaism. Every Palestinian we're killing because of Judaism, because Jews love doing that, okay? That's what they're saying. That's how people see it. I don't have any fucking power in trying to combat against this narrative when that is what is being telegraphed from every fucking, everything that people see and think in the media.
As 6 of its fighters were killed here, and that Israel's actions are a deliberate provocation, along with plans to build new Jewish settlements. The Israelis say this is only the first stage of their operation, which is believed to be one of the biggest in years.
Still don't understand why. Oh, yeah, I mean, this is fucking insane. But yeah, Rafah. Israeli soldiers in Rafah looting and wearing women's underwear and dresses belonging to displaced or killed Palestinian women. Like, they do this shit all the fucking time. I don't understand what the fuck they're doing. Like, why is this? It's in Han Yunis, not Rafah, apparently. But, like, it makes no damn sense. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, this is so unimaginably weird. Like, this is just such freak shit, dude. It's freaky ass shit. It's just like reflexively flexing the power that you have over a population of people that you're fucking dominating militarily. That's what they're doing. But it's just like, it doesn't make fucking sense. How do you get those guys to be normal again, by the way? That's the other side of this. Those are like relatively young Israelis, you know? Relatively young Israelis. How do you get them to be normal again? How do you get them to fucking participate in normal society? It's not. It's over. Would you agree that anti-Semites are Zionists to some extent? Yes. Of course I would. They're fascists of a different flavor. That's it. Anti-Semites literally want what Israel is doing, but for white people, what they consider to be white people. That is a, changeable, that is something that can change. I mean, Richard Spencer, prominent American neo-Nazi, straight up will be like, yeah, we want to do Israel, but for whites. And also, anti-Semites and Zionists utilize the same language. Anti-Semites say, all Jews, like, that's why the conversation around criticizing Israel so quickly turns into this, like, weird fucking dynamic. Because anti-Semites say, Israel is doing this for Judaism. All Jews are responsible for Israel's actions. But so do the fucking Zionists. They say the same shit. The fuck? Like, most real people I know cannot differentiate between Israel and the Jews. So yeah, kind of a shitty aspect for American Jews. So since most are anti-Zionist and are being looked at as part of this as it continues to escalate, especially for our demographic, for our age group. Okay? Under the age of 35, there's a shit ton of anti-Zionist Jews. As a diaspora Jew and not a Zionist, watching Israel and Zionists do genocide is wild because we are both on the dinner plate of white supremacy. If Palestinians are eradicated, we're back on the menu. Genocide is always wrong, but it's like, it's not even self-preservation in the long run. Yeah, it's just, it's crazy.
Gaza, putting really a connection between those two areas and a potential Israeli reaction to those areas. Now, we've also heard from the Ministry of Health.
Richard Spencer was confronted by a Zionist, and his retort was that he sees Israel as a model for a white ethno-state, and the Zionists had no answer to that. Yeah. Richard Spencer has openly fucking talked about how he wants to do Israel, but for white people. He is a neo-Nazi.
In the West Bank, that at least 2 hospitals have been blocked by the Israeli military, saying that there have been mounds of dirt, for example, pushed towards those areas. We have seen and obtained video that would back up some of those claims. We've seen some very heavy Israeli military assets in those areas, bulldozers, for example, pushing up infrastructure and pavements and roads in those areas. And we are still getting information and video coming in showing the extent of this operation. But what we're hearing from the Israeli side is that they are...
Yeah, what we're hearing from the Israeli side is they are, again, engaging in a siege and an offensive campaign in an occupied territory that they are illegally occupying, okay, is that they're just doing an anti-terror operation. It's fucking bullshit, dude. It's fucking bullshit.
Trying to...
and this isn't Gaza, chat. This is West Bank. This is the other side of the equation. This is like... this is territory that Israel illegally occupies, where there's, you know, the hostages aren't there. There's no fucking Hamas there. You know what I mean? This is like, they're just saying there's Hamas there. There's no Hamas governance in the West Bank.
Iranian terrorist infrastructure, as they put it, in this area from the Palestinian side, and certainly from those in Jenin, one of the key areas that has been targeted, certainly from the governor. They are...
How do you know that there is no Hamas governance in the West Bank? I mean, you're basically betraying what other kind of like liberal Zionist sentiment you might try to display otherwise if you fucking openly admit that every Palestinian is Hamas, where you know, I guess, come to that recognition that you make no distinction. Okay, I was just kidding. Okay, take a day off. No jokes right now. Come on, dude.
Are concerned about access to hospitals, about hundreds within those hospitals itself, given that they're claiming that Israel has restricted all access there. We heard from the Red Crescent Society as well, saying that their manoeuvring of ambulances has been heavily restricted by the Israeli military as well. Max, Christina?
If this war expands from Gaza to the West Bank, that's obviously a big escalation of that war, isn't it? Does Israel have the resources for that?
The right. Yeah, that's the real problem here. Does Israel have enough weapons to bomb the West Bank and Gaza at the same time? Yeah, I mean, I saw this tweet from Felix. People don't stop acting like this, making a mass rapist concentration camp guard a media star until they're too afraid to try it again for a while. I hope that happens soon, or else the world is stuck with a nuclear-armed version of the North Fox Island pedophile ring. Like, this is literally that guy Shitrich, or however you say his last name, I don't know. He is a Sede Tayman concentration camp prison guard that was detained for being one of the fucking main rapists who raped a Palestinian to death. Okay? This is like down to the Hamas are doing mass rapes on Israeli women narratives. Like every single thing has fallen flat and has been just pure projection. I said this on like October 10. I talked about how there has always been a long and recorded history of mass rapes of Palestinians under Israeli detention facilities. And at the time, people were looking at me like I'm crazy. People tried to even fucking say like, oh, well, here's a study conducted by someone that shows that Israelis are so racist that they actually don't rape Palestinians, that they actually rape Palestinians less than other kinds of rape that have occurred. That's what they fucking said. Adamir is a Palestinian human rights group that was declared a terrorist organization for actively monitoring these sorts of instances of rape under detention, Israeli detention. They shut it off they shut off this flow of information on in every avenue. If you go back and listen to my conversations, whether it be with Ethan on Leftovers or whether it be from like October 10, early October, you'll see how much of the things that I have said, maybe you had an issue with them at the time because you were uninitiated and you were unfamiliar with this process, but how much of the fucking things that I've said that you now agree with, okay? Not because you were in here the entire time, by the way, but perhaps because you have now come to recognize it. It's not like I had the fucking gift of foresight. I was simply reiterating things that I know about the Palestinian plight before October 7. It's not foresight. Yeah, it's hindsight.
I mean, I think they certainly have the resources. It would be a significant escalation. The fact that the foreign minister is connecting the two in such a blatant way on X, formerly known as Twitter, is significant in itself, mentioning potential evacuation of Palestinian residents, something that we have been seeing for months in Gaza and something we are still seeing. The Gaza residents have been moved sometimes a dozen times from area to area as the Israeli military tries to clear out civilians, they say, and target Hamas militants that are within that area or tunnels that are within that area. Now, if that were to be replicated in the West Bank, it would be very significant, very devastating. When you're talking about these refugee camps in Nur Shams, for example, in Jenin, they are densely populated, a very similar situation to what we see in Gaza, where it would be difficult for them to be evacuated. And of course, there would be a concern if this operation were to be significantly increased by the Israelis, that there would be civilian casualties within that as well. Now, at this point, the Israeli military not specifying how wide this operation is or how long it will go on for, but suffice to say it is larger than we have seen in some time.
Paula, thank you very much. Just to add to Paula's excellent reporting there, that we have had a response from Hamas in the last hour calling for a general mobilization and escalation of confrontation in response to the Israeli operations in the West Bank, although it is hard to see how that retaliation would actually happen given the scale of what has been occurring in the West Bank, as Paula has outlined there.
CNN anchor and chief national security analyst Jim Sciutto is in Tel Aviv. Jim, what are you learning about this operation this morning?
Well, John, it's the biggest Israeli operation in the West Bank since the October 7th attacks. Israeli officials, the IDF, say they're going after what they call Islamic Iranian terror infrastructure. The allegation they're making is that weapons are coming into the West Bank, funded by, facilitated by Iran, and that this attack is intended to target that. The death toll at this point stands at least 9, and what we're hearing now publicly in response from Hamas is calling for a mobilization of its supporters and fighters in the West Bank. So it's a significant operation, and that reaction from Hamas is significant. Israeli officials make the point that the terror environment, the threat is real now. You may remember a little more than a week ago, there was a suicide bombing here in Tel Aviv where only the bomber was killed. So the Israeli officials are justifying it based on the nature of the threat and what they say is the infrastructure building in the West Bank.
Where does this put the hostage and ceasefire negotiations?
Listen, you know, I've covered so many negotiations like this, and oftentimes you will see attacks like this, operations like this in the midst of sensitive negotiations, and it's hard to say which way it will cut. Will it disrupt those negotiations because when you have Israel and Hamas carrying out operations like this against each other, certainly can make it harder for negotiators. Can you make the argument that it allows Israeli negotiators to show toughness in terms of counterterror operations and therefore make it easier to make concessions to bring a deal across the finish line? Maybe. But let's be frank, those negotiations are quite sensitive right now. It's not clear that they are making progress on the most intractable issues. So any increase in hostilities, particularly in the West Bank, are ones that you have to treat as a risk. And it's been notable to hear the Israeli foreign minister tweeting today that Israel should carry out operations in the West Bank like they've been carrying out in Gaza.
Yeah, it shows toughness, dude. It definitely shows toughness when you just start murking fucking people in the West Bank too. Yeah, Israel's foreign minister. This is the White House columnist Niall Stanaj at The Hill. Israel's foreign minister calling for the temporary evacuation of Palestinian residents in the West Bank. Temporary is an interesting word choice in a territory Israel's occupied for 57 years. Completely illegal, by the way. Completely illegal. Like nothing that they do. Also, where would they evacuate?
Certainly would be quite an escalation.
Yes, it would. All right, Jim Schumer.
I have a question. Isn't it completely legal for Palestinians and militants in the West Bank to fight back against the Israeli occupying force? Abso-fucking-lutely. 1,000,000%. Completely legal. Of course. It is their right. What do you mean? It is legal. It is moral. It is just. But of course, none of that really fucking matters when we're talking about Israel and the United States of America.
Great to have you there. Thanks so much.
Welcome to the occupied West Bank. We're in the Palestinian village of Beita. The tear gas has begun unusually.
I don't get it. Are you waiting until Hamas kills everyone for them to defend themselves? What are you talking about? Yeah, it is 100% illegal for Israel to do what they're doing and 100% legal for Hamas to fight back. It is 100% legal for everyone in the West Bank to fight back. Straight up. Israel is a belligerent occupier. Okay? And as a belligerent occupier, they do not have the right to lay siege on Palestinian territories that they currently are a belligerent occupier of. Obviously, legality is fucking meaningless and morality is fucking meaningless at this point because obviously might is right is the way that these things play out.
Early today, these scenes have become a weekly ritual. Palestinians holding a small demonstration.
This you from like 2 years ago. I'm actually so scared about all of these videos, dude, because I feel like this is going to be straight up like there's going to be TOS in this. You know what I mean? Anyway, I do want to see this. I do want to see. Why is Amnesty International being kind of fucking wild? This is actually surprising. I'm watching it right now. The Czech Amnesty International TOS moments. Dead bodies at 3:30 to 3:37. One dead body, then bloodied face. Still going through the rest. Thank you.
The word apartheid, what do you think of? Probably the disturbing images of racial segregation between whites and blacks in South Africa, where a regime ruled by a racist white minority declared themselves officially superior to the black majority, then proceeded to dominate them. South Africa's apartheid.
The haircut wasn't it, Hasan. Got to keep it real. I know, dude. I know. Listen, re-reacting. I'm not going to re-react, but like, obviously, I'm saying the same exact shit that I was saying now that back then, pre-October 7. Obligatory damn, you look so good now, chatter reporting in. Yeah. I'll look a lot better if you're subscribed at the top of the hour as well, because there's a 3-minute ad break coming for you. There were a lot of horrific moments. Potawatomi trail of... You don't know his ass until you try, not an L King? Yeah. I also lost a lot of weight. Yes. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Let's continue.
After Friday prayers.
Yeah, 15-minute video, 1 hour react. Good numbers.
Israeli soldiers firing tear gas down at them.
Palestinians have been protesting like this for years and years, but if anything, the situation for them on the ground is only getting more and more difficult. The Israeli army becoming more and more uncompromising, particularly since October the 7th.
At times, the Israelis shoot live bullets. More than a dozen people have been killed around Beta in the past few years, since demonstrations against a new nearby Israeli settlement began.
Like, remember, what's going on here is you have settlers coming in and bullying with the Israeli occupying force defense, bullying Palestinians out of their homes that they've lived in, okay? Then they come in and they build a temporary housing on top of the area that they destroy. Palestinians protest that. The Israeli occupying force comes in and shoots them and fucking kills them. And then you rinse and repeat over and over and over again. And also, these settlers are not always coming from, you know, nearby regions either. Most of these guys are also coming from like America and other places.
Settlers here, they stole our land. And every Friday we come here just to pray peacefully. But they don't want even this. They don't want this. They shoot us as you know, as you see.
We leave Beta and head to the settlement they're protesting against.
The International Court of Justice has said that all Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank should be dismantled. If anything, they're actually expanding more rapidly than ever before. We're on our way now to Eviatar, which is one of the newest ones.
Named after a settler killed by Palestinians nearby, Eviatar was founded by ultra-hardline activists who see themselves as pioneers on land promised to them by God.
I think the ICC should expand its arrest warrants away from just simply Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant and expand it to other Israeli administration officials as well, especially since the ICJ considered settlements to be an act of war and a violation of human rights. The ICC should also put settlers on that same front. Okay. And start putting out arrest warrants for some officials. For example, officials like Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, but then even beyond that, beyond Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, settlers with dual nationality. There's a lot of settlers with dual citizenship. Okay, they have family members back in the West in Rome Statute nations. Not all of them are from America. America doesn't abide by the Rome Statute. Doesn't matter. America doesn't abide by the ICC or the ICJ's decisions unless it's one that goes along with American foreign policy interests. For example, when it's like, you know, Russia, right? So in that process, yeah, if they fly back to see their fucking family members, boom, arrest them. Okay, that's it. They're war criminals. Arrest them for the war crimes that they're engaging in. Let's see what works. Let's see what happens. You know, let's see what the fuck happens. What's America gonna do? Are they actually gonna invade The Hague? For some random fucking settler, dude? Some random inbred, ultra nationalist, ultra Zionist, Nazi fucking piece of shit? Go ahead, dude. It would collapse the international order that they are desperately trying to cling on to. It already is, by the way, but this would be the final strike.
Outpost was initially even considered illegal under Israeli law, but it was recognized by the state last month, along with several others. Israel's far-right finance minister visited to congratulate Eviatar's residents.
Oh, you would support George Bush getting arrested then? The U.S. did it too? Oh my God, I'm gonna nut, dude. Are you kidding me?
Bezalel Smotrich, himself a settler, is spearheading efforts to fully annex the West Bank. For the settlers constructing these ramshackle homes, they're reclaiming a Jewish ancestral and spiritual homeland and protecting it.
At the moment we're 15, we can be 20 by the end of the summer.
Malkiel is Eviatar's head of security.
But the settlements that you're building here, they make a Palestinian state.
This is just straight Rhodesia shit, by the way. Straight up, like, it's crazy.
A two-state solution, impossible practically, but I guess that's part of the aim. Well,
I'll ask you, if you have a Palestinian state here, who will protect Tel Aviv from being rocketed?
Well, the army.
Apparently,
the army.
UNRWA. The army? Well, as long as we hear the army here. If you take the Palestinians seriously and you take the Hamas seriously and you hear what they're saying, they're talking about from the river to the sea.
That's effectively your slogan. From the river to the sea should be all Israel.
Well, it was. It was much more, actually.
Around 700,000 settlers now live in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem, most in large enclaves like this. The West Bank was seized by Israel in the 1967 war. Internationally, it's all considered to be Palestinian land, key to any future Palestinian state. Since the 1990s, more urban areas have been partially controlled by the Palestinian Authority, the rest by the Israeli military. But the territory is now dotted with Israeli settlements widely considered illegal. And over the past 2 years, under Israel's current hardline government, they've seen unprecedented growth. Emboldened by allies in the heart of Israel's government, violence by settlers targeting Palestinians has been rising sharply. This was an attack earlier this month where homes and cars were set alight and one man killed. But the settlers see themselves as the victims. Stabbing and shooting attacks by Palestinians had been growing more frequent even before October the 7th. And with the
2023 was the deadliest year for Palestinian children, according to Euromed. An article that came out on October 6th, as a matter of fact.
Occupation entrenched and deadly Israeli army raids ramping up. Grassroots support in the West Bank for Hamas is soaring.
I had a friend in high school that was Israeli and came to Texas for a year. In 2014, he said Netanyahu will be the next Hitler, even back then, hoping he hasn't been conscripted for his madness, for this madness. I mean, that's the thing. Like, people that used to say Netanyahu's Hitler, a sentiment that, like, many Israelis actually fucking recognized, completely fucking dropped that shit. Or just basically started saying, well, our version of Hitler is good, actually. It's a necessary evil. So many people's brains got completely fucking broken. Gaia, place.
There's no other rhetoric or discourse coming either from Israel, from the US, from the UK, from Europe, that will actually push a solution to the conflict here. So at the end, even if you're not radical or you're moderate, resistance comes as that solution. And that's why Hamas now has a lot of popularity in the West Bank.
And the growing support for Hamas, Israelis would see that as a major security concern.
Again, that's the problem with Israel, is that it creates the problem and then, accuses you of supporting Hamas. Hamas is just a new variant of an old tradition in Palestine. How do we solve the problem of losing our land? How do we solve the problem of military occupation?
Several thousand Israeli settlers once occupied parts of Gaza. But to their fury, they were forced out by their own army close to 2 decades ago as it withdrew from the territory. Now some see the current war as a chance to fight.
Went back to your channel and noticed that literally nothing changed from 2021. Even your commentary relating to Biden. Yeah. I don't know where people are at, but something that helped me when I was learning more about Palestine a few years ago was reading about the everyday mechanisms of control the Palestinians deal with, from roads to water to ID cards. Thought I'd share. Some people are more equal than others. It's so, this is kind of funny because like, this is from 2021, right? And it's like, literally, look at my fucking hair. What was I doing? Literally, I use similar infographics still to this fucking day because nothing has changed. 6.6 million.
Finally moved back. We're in a small tent site not far from the border with Gaza. It might look like a bohemian summer camp, complete with family-friendly activities. But this is an unabashed radical fringe, backed ideologically by senior far-right members of government, that believes Gaza is Jewish land. On Yosef's neck, a tattoo of a band.
That's a Jewish power tattoo.
And extremist group. For him, the death and destruction.
That's literally a Nazi tattoo, by the way. Like Jewish Defense League. Like that right there, that tattoo is the exact same as like, it's like the Jewish swastika, basically. Straight up, is a terror cell. They've killed people in America. That's not even a joke.
What in Gaza represents an opportunity to take it over.
It is, when I say this, like, I'm letting you know, like, this is straight the fuck up. When I say this is straight up a Nazi tattoo, like, I mean it. Every now and then you'll have a bunch of fucking weirdos like Nazis online post like videos, right? They'll post videos of like some Jewish dudes sitting in a fucking room talking about how like the goyim are cattle or whatever, right? You know, and they'll be like, see, this is what the Jews believe. And it's always the same like 8 videos. Okay. These are the guys who say shit like that. Like, it is a Jewish supremacist ideology. And it's ironic because like the people posting those videos are literally fucking fascists. They're just anti-Semitic fascists. So they hate the other side of the fucking equation for the exact same principles. It's like, it's kind of similar to how like Republicans will be like, oh, we don't want that Muslim shit here. They're backwards. You know, we don't want that Muslim shit here. They're backwards. They're groomers. They want to fucking do child brides. And it's like, bro, you want to do child brides. You know what I mean? You're just mad, I guess, because in your mind, you think like Muslims also want to do it. It's literally like fascists that hate and claim that like all Jews believe in like Jewish supremacy, okay? Ironically, have white supremacist attitudes, and they're just projecting their own fucking hatred against one subgroup that has the exact same ideology that they do. It's just the in-group is different. Yeah, that's why I always say conservatives hate conservatives in other countries. They hate it.
אני ישנתי בלילה בלי סק"ש ולא בתוך אוהל. תנאי שטח. אנחנו מבינים שעם כל החום והזבובים והכל, כשניכנס לעזה, בעזרת השם, יהיה הרבה יותר קשה מבחינת תנאי השטח. אז פה זה רק הכנה קטנה.
In the camp, the orange color of the movement flies high. Some soldiers.
This is a great video for beginners. She builds up the evidence really effectively. Astronomy has a colonialism problem. Dog, this is a 3-hour video on astronomy and colonialism. Like, I'm sorry, there is just no fucking way I'm watching that video. Like, I'm sure it's a great video, but if you think that I'm gonna watch a 3-hour video on astronomy and colonialism, you're crazy. Like, come on. I'm sure it's a great video, but like, I sit here and I watch 15-minute video. You just saw an example of me reacting to a 15-minute video and cutting an hour of content off of it. How long do you think it would take me to react to a 3-hour video?
Soldiers fighting in Gaza have posted photos online with the flag too, though Israel's leadership insists there's no prospect of re-establishing the settlements. Ariel believes it will happen and hopes to be amongst the first to move to Gaza. She came to Israel 7 years ago from Texas.
The idea of you coming from America to here, settling in potentially in Gaza, kicking Palestinians out, a lot of people would see that as settler colonialism.
It's not really colonialism, it's a return. My grandparents were kicked out of Israel by Arabs who were trying to establish a Palestinian state, and they had to leave for their survival, and I'm just coming back and fulfilling their dream. That would be the first thing. The second thing is, I think that...
Sorry, your grandparents' dreams sucked ass, okay? And you suck ass. I don't give a fuck about your grandparents' dreams. I don't give a fuck about your dreams. If your dreams require the mass ethnic cleansing of Palestinians for it to be realized, okay? Dream something better, dumbass, okay? Get better dreams. Stupid asshole.
And I know this is a minority view, I think colonialism gets a bad rap. Like, genocide is bad, but colonizing places that are genocidal and they have bad ideology, it's good to come in and correct their views.
What do you think should happen to the people who are already in Gaza?
So I think that there's a couple of possibilities. The one that I think is the most realistic is we got to ask other countries for help. I know that Spain was willing to take a couple of million. I know Russia said they would take a couple of thousand.
To a lot of people, that would sound like you're advocating for ethnic cleansing.
I don't think so, because Palestinian isn't an ethnicity, it's an ideology, and it's an ideology that says that they want Jews dead, and so we want them as far away from Jews.
Yeah, no, you can kill them all then, dude, you know? Yeah, Judaism is not an ethnicity. It's just an ideology that wants to fucking destroy Germany that belongs to the wonderful folk. Is exactly the same fucking argument that Nazis had. I feel like something happened along the way where, like, do we just not educate people on the fucking Holocaust, including Jewish people? Like, what the fuck's going on? Like, do people think that, like, there wasn't a deliberate effort to dehumanize Jews in Germany before people basically arrived at the conclusion that they must be sent to fucking camps? Like, do people think that there is just, like, do people think that it happened overnight? Like, it was just, oh yeah, dude, yeah, fuck yeah, this is great, actually. Yeah, no, I think Jews are wonderful people, but we should still fucking ship them to camps. Is that how that happened? No, they had their own fucking version of the rationale, you know, which is identical to this psycho's rationale. Like, how is this? Like, it makes no sense. Just think for like 3 seconds. Think about it. Okay, please think about it. The very same mechanisms and the very same cycle of dehumanization that is occurring in Israel on a daily basis, that occurs in every, like, Zionist institution that churns out this kind of, like, anti-Palestinian, anti-Arab, anti-Muslim sentiment, anti-Muslim propaganda, is being conducted with the deliberate intent to make people feel this way, that, like, Palestinians are basically hiding in every corner and they're controlling all the, you know, they're dying in a telegenic way to make people feel sympathetic to them.
Possible.
The would-be settlers take us to the Erez crossing. It used to be the gateway into Gaza. The area has been closed off by Israeli soldiers, but the group is waved through. They've planted 2 small lemon trees here as symbols of their claims over this land. Just saplings, but the settlers have seen how over the years their efforts bear fruit.
By the way, this could be an October surprise for the election. I swear to God, Fox News is watching my fucking stream.
Well, there you hear it. Pro-Palestinian chants ringing out in Cornell this week, Cornell University at the library there, echoing the horror seen across college campuses last spring. Now, universities are bracing for a potential new wave of protests. Joining us now, Fox News contributor and former retired NYPD inspector and lawyer Paul Morrow. So they're not shy about telling everybody, like, we're going to do these protests. Like, this fall, the protesters intend to bring...
Yeah, the horror scene. It is horrific. It is horrific to me that there are young Americans in some of the top institutions of higher learning in this country that have learned some of these principles that they're teaching in class, like genocide is unconscionable. Okay? Horror scenes. Will you go to the protest again if it happens? Fuck yes. Abso-fucking-lutely. 100%. I am fully in support of the student movement, the anti-genocide movement across the board. I think that the students should absolutely protest once again like they did. They should. It is their right to do so. They absolutely should do so. I don't just think that these student protests will happen and it might become like a point of contention. I want it to be that way. Because people forget very quickly in our fucking media cycle. Okay? People forget the atrocities that are happening. Your coverage showed the press was misrepresenting the protest. It doesn't matter. I'll still be there no matter what. I'll still be doing that. Okay? They have every right to do so. What do you say to shit libs who say, why did the protest stop over the summer? There's no school. Oh. The UC system, like, completely fucking banned it, too. My biggest fear as a Palestinian is that people will stop thinking this is cool. Yeah, I know. I know. The Kamala Brat summer momentum. You didn't protest. You didn't even get arrested. I'm disappointed in my son. This is such a funny line from dudes who are like obviously not pro-Palestinian at all. Okay? Would you go fight for Palestine? How can you support the party doing this, bro? This guy's a scumbag. Austin is trash. Like, just coming in here and being like, dude, you didn't even get arrested, dude. Would you go support Palestine with, hey, comrade, won't you rise up in arms against the violent imperialist American state? Hey, comrade, let's do some direct action. Dude can't even fake being pro-Palestine. Lamau, I know. What do you say to people who say the protests are disrupting other students' education and classes? Fucking bullshit, dude. Bull fucking shit. It's not. That's just a lie to try to fucking squash free speech from happening. Okay? That's all it is. Hey, comrade, I have a stash of tannerite at these coordinates and also a bunch of weapons. Would you like to go pick them up? Which actions constitute protected free speech? Question number 10. Organizing a rally in Quarry Plaza, a public university space. Protesters blocking access to campus. A student sitting at the chancellor's office. A group of protesters disrupting a class that is in session. What speech is protected? Joining a class online and repeatedly making comments that disrupt the professor from teaching. Posting flyers or posters in a non-public space without university authorization. Posting flyers or advertisement approved university public posting spaces. Blocking access to a building or the university in general while engaging in otherwise protected activities such as picketing or demonstrating. For the record, a lot of this stuff also is non-Palestine related too. I just want you to understand, like, when they say this is a no-no, they mean like striking is a no-no. You understand that, right? This is why I'm talking about, like, chat. This is why I am fucking telling you this doesn't stop with Gaza. This doesn't stop with pro-Palestinian sentiment. This doesn't stop with anti-genocide protests. Every single thing that they're saying that you cannot do because you're anti-Semitic, because you're fucking saying genocide is unconscionable, you're hurting Israel's feelings, it's the most moral democracy on the planet, it's the best military on the planet. Literally all factors against picketing. Okay? It's just, you can't strike. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, okay? A lot of people don't fucking comprehend this. It will come for you as well. If you right now think, those are Palestinians, I don't give a shit. They're far away. Who gives a fuck? Oh, man, these students, like, they're making me feel bad. I just want to fucking, enjoy my brass summer. Whatever, okay? One